What's going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the L Squared Podcast. I'm your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today, telephonically, over miles and miles of frozen, slushy, wet tundra, through the miracle of technology, Old Legs.
What's up? We're the podcast where we always take the time to go dreamy. This is the L Squared Podcast.
Damn
I am your reoccurring guest, special guest, and we're here today, and we're gonna talk a little Pet Sematary. Is that what's on the docket?
That's all I see here. I see on the itinerary, number 1, Pet Sematary. Number 2, leave time to get dreamy. So that's what we're going to do.
Leaving time to get dreamy. Yes, that's what we are all about here.
So
Pet Sematary.
Last week,
take us into it.
I just want to say before we get into it, last week, thank you for our resident uncle, Uncle Chuck, for coming on for our Triple Uncle Deluxe. If you haven't heard that episode, now there is a warning. We should have said this, but viewer discretion is advised. There's going to be a lot of uncle talk, and for some audiences, that's a big hill to climb. So we just want to, we didn't put that disclaimer on the initial episode when we released it, but we should have. And you guys reached out to us, so I just wanted to say, if too much uncle talk gets you queasy, then you might want to take some Tums beforehand. Just sit in your comfy chair and just sit back and don't worry. It'll be okay.
Yeah. It's just like, where do I even start? Where do I read the first Dark Tower book, or do I read the prequel, The Wizard and the Glass? What do I even? Are we to the Dark Tower part of this episode yet?
Yeah.
Are we?
Yeah, let's just start there.
Saving it? Are we going to start? Okay, perfect.
No, I think we're going to start from the inside out. So if you just want to start at the middle of that book,
great.
And then you'll go towards the beginning, and I'll go towards the end, and we'll just kind of work our way around.
It's kind of like you can start listening to this podcast kind of somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's usually better.
The middle. And then
work your way out.
You'll have a better understanding.
Exactly.
Pet Sematary. You want me to do it, or you want to do it? Where do we start with this one?
I'll start with
You do the damn thing.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for coming on, man. We'll see you next week. All right,
it's been a pleasure.
No, he's done. So
all this prep I did.
Yeah. Well, we don't really need you. So I had a unique theater going experience for this. I was going.
These are always my favorite.
Yeah. So it's really more of, I'll just tell you. So my initial plan was to go with our part-time producer, Jaws the Wyatt, and that was the plan. We were gonna go, and then he was like, "Hey, is that cool if my girlfriend comes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't fucking care, right?" So she was gonna come, and then shortly thereafter, he said, "Hey, just so you know, she invited some other people." And I was like, "What? And who are these people?" And then they just happen to be people that I don't like. So I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna go with you guys." But I found out which theater they were going to, so I went at the same time, at the same showing, on the opposite end of town in the other theater. So I sort of saw it with him in a way, but not really. So that hasn't really ever happened before. But I got out of the movie and I called him and we talked about it a little bit. So it was definitely unique.
There you go. You know what else was really unique about your viewing experience?
Yeah. Tell me.
You pulled I'm gonna go out and say you pulled a Tom Cruise, and you essentially cut out you being Tom Cruise, me being Jeremy Renner. You cut me out.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I texted you and was like, "Hey, Pet Sematary?" And he's like, I'm already actually sitting in the theater. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, that's just a true story. I already paid for the ticket, and you wanted to go to a later show.
Here I was thinking I had the Mission Impossible series.
No. I'm the big action star. It's my movie.
Right. So our viewers, Luke saw it by himself.
Yes.
He's essentially cutting out everyone in his life. So
that's the only way to do it.
I think this is the theme of the story, is what he was trying to get at. He didn't want to come out and say it, but I'm going to be the Morgan Freeman voice over here.
Yeah, good.
That, he's cutting everyone out who's important.
See, that's how I know you're a good.
I'm not gonna forget that.
That's how I know that you're a good friend, is because you're reeling me back in. You're letting me know when I'm making these mistakes, and you're bringing me back to reality. You know, it could be just because of the massive success of this podcast that I'm just kind of putting myself in the upper echelon of humans. You know, and it's good.
That's my job. My job is to bury you deep in that in that dirt.
In that dirt.
And then watch you come back.
Boom. Nice segue.
And there we're there.
And now we're back.
It's like we've been doing this for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
Shit pretty much writes itself.
Woo!
Pet Sematary.
Wait, so are you John Lithgow in this scenario? Because you would have to. So I'm the cat?
Can I be Fred Gwynn? Can I be like the OG?
Old Leigh. You can always be Fred Gwynn.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's my dream.
Definitely. I've always kind of seen myself as a Herman Munster type. So. Sure. Yeah.
So.
With my large stature and.
Yeah.
Cool ass voice.
Some would say imposing. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. Let's get into it before we go audience even farther out of it, because the Munsters is like even. It's not even a reference really I get. Like, I think I saw it on TV Land a couple times when I was a kid.
I love the Munsters, dude. Great theme song.
Of course you would. It is a good theme song.
It is. So, Pet Sematary is obviously the remake of the classic Stephen King story, and directed by two dudes, Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer. And, yeah, it's just a story about a pet cemetery. And that's it. That's the whole film.
Yes.
And we're done.
Okay. So how about let's maybe start this at the beginning here and kind of work our way through it. Did you see the original Pet Sematary?
I think I saw it when I was too young to remember really seeing it.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure I remember images from it, like definitely the cat, and a couple things. So I know I've seen it, but I think I was just too young to really take it in, you know?
Okay. Interesting. So I had seen it, and I think it was maybe like high school or something like that. And it's like a lot of 80s, 90s King adaptations, super forgettable.
Yeah.
Not very good.
Wait, do we have a music for bad Stephen King interpretations?
Yeah.
Can we play that quick?
Yes.
There we go.
Not very good, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Stephen King wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
It plays a lot like a novel. It's very lethargic and boring. And then you have the awesome Gage scene that's like hilarious, and it's pretty sad. And there's just kind of bits and pieces that I think it was really surprising, because there were things that before seeing the new one that I didn't think I would remember from the old, but the new one plays so close to the old one that I started remembering like shitty other parts about the old one. I'm like, what? Wait, why did they keep this shit in? Like, what was the point? Cause like I think there's like kind of like the Achilles cutting.
Yeah.
That's in, which is good. Like that's
whenever I see that in a horror movie, it really gets to me. I think it was because when I was young, I saw the House of Wax.
Is that Wax?
Yeah, the remake.
Joint.
Oh boy, that gets me, man. Whew.
Yeah, and it was like that one, Pet Sematary. Obviously the iconic death scene, and there's not a whole lot else, but yeah. So the original is pretty forgettable. Again, cool premise. It's a cooler premise than maybe gets credit for, and I think it's a good candidate for being remade. Just because the acting, aside from Fred Gwynne, is just abominable in the original. So I'm all for just plugging in established names, good actors, which they did. And so should we get into the remake here? And
yeah,
I don't know, what'd you think?
So I came out of it pretty meh. I was like,
meh. I was kind of meh too.
It was, I mean, there were parts of it where I was like, okay, this could be something, but then it just didn't, it didn't grab me. It wasn't, I don't know, there was opportunities there, but they kind of fell flat, and then it had kind of like, the ending felt sort of like a Goosebumps ending a little bit. That's all I thought.
I like that.
Okay.
There's like a word cap, and if you go over it, the books don't really fit in sequence on your shelf, and there's not like one fatty Goosebumps book. They're all like
very thin.
Like a thumb and a half. Oh yeah, maybe less.
Yep.
Let's just get into it. Because obviously, the movie, one of the biggest hurdles with I think this movie is just the fact that I think everyone, even really non-original audience goers, pretty much know what it's about, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's very iconic.
You have to really. It's either you're doing this kind of tight wire act where it needs to either be done really well. And obviously, that's not like a huge ask. I mean, The Conjuring is just the most basic ghost story ever, but it's done really well, and it's effective.
Yep, that's
so
exactly what I thought.
It's not like a thing where it's like it's like this is doable.
Yep.
Knowing the story, but I guess maybe my biggest complaint was that there was just so much extra fat on this film. I thought everything with the mother character, played by Amy Simetz, is just not really essential. And it's in the original too. And in the original, you're just like, wait, what? Like, why does she need like a really terrible backstory? Like, I don't really get it.
Right.
You know, like,
it did feel just. Really felt tacked on for sure.
Yeah. Do we need that to understand her character not wanting to tell her 6-year-old daughter about death? Like, I think it's like fine to table that conversation for a while. You don't need some like crazy backstory where your older sister had like James Wan syndrome or something. Like, I don't know what. It's like the doctor comes in and it's like I'm sorry, your daughter, she has James Wan syndrome. What is that? It's the symptoms are she's going to say very creepy things and just look ugly and grotesque.
Yeah, it's a fate worse than death.
What was that?
Yeah, I think that's probably the disease maybe the disease she got was from. I would think that's something you'd get after having sex with the Shape of Water alien fish guy.
Perhaps.
Which no one brought up, but that's definitely some weird fish alien disease you could get.
Expanded universe? ?
I don't see why not. Elsewhere trademark. Let's get those agents on the phone. Let's make it happen.
Right. So, yeah, all that really felt tacked on, not really needed. Let's see. What else? I thought just the immediate dream sequence / smoke machines really kind of took me out of it a bit. With Jason Clarke's character, just kind of right off the bat, like he has the kid die, which again is straight out of the original.
Yeah.
And yeah, does it feel weird that when he like leaves his bed and he goes into this weird dream place and he starts moseying around the cemetery with, the dead kid talking to him, like, is it weird that felt less scary than just him just walking around his house and it's just kind of like,
yeah,
this,
I remember
cat,
yeah,
like just kind of spooking him, like.
I know, like when I was watching
is that like a product of our time, where you think like just realness, like
reality
things that feel more real are more scary?
Well, it would depend if they, because I think that when I saw that shot, I thought like, okay, yeah, this could be really cool. Like, it could be creepy and weird and surreal and dreamy, but...
I thought it was like, oh, cool, yeah, we're going to get dreamy here.
But I don't think they really pulled it off that well. I think they could have... I think they could have gone a lot dreamier, and they just didn't leave room for themselves to get dreamy. They
only had 2 days, right?
They probably only had 2 days to shoot, yeah. So...
God damn it.
So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that comes back to bite you, But... Yeah, no, I think that there's definitely a way where they could have, like, I remember thinking, why is the door frame so well lit if it's in a forest? Like at least give me a little bit here. But I mean, there was definitely parts of it, like, while all that stuff with the mom felt tacked on, some of that stuff was probably the creepiest atmosphere of the film, I would say. Like, when she was a kid and having to, like, go into the room, like, I was like, fuck that. That's fucking creepy, Yeah. Like some of that they did an okay job with, and, like, the stuff when, like, the wide shots of the fog machine forest, like, when they're up on the mountain, like, some of that was, like, pretty creepy, just visual, And, I don't know, like, but it wasn't, I don't know, I feel like they could have played into that more.
Yeah, it felt a little bit hemmed together, and I guess it's supposed to be just two completely, I don't know, like, whatever's past the cemetery is just of another realm, but just like the stairway up, just all of a sudden we're just into, like, this, I don't know, it just felt out of place, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we just still should have just been in the woods.
Right, like, it would have been...
Like, the woods was just more cool.
Yeah.
And just throw some rocks and, like, circles and shit, and just the center of the woods and...
Like, the woods in It Comes at Night were way scarier than these.
And, like, all of a sudden we're just on this plateau and we can see everything. It's like, oh, there's nothing up here except for some some rocks and sand
and like, well,
and some sour earth.
Since we're just jumping around like we do, when I felt like John Lithgow's character's motivations were unclear, especially for that first time that they did the burial with the cat, because I'm like, why do you care so much?
It's like the one. So I'll actually give it a pass there.
Okay.
Because there are just like one or two concessions you have to make in every horror film.
Okay. So that's one of them.
The thing to work,
Yeah.
But
they just showed like
the
they
Evil
showed
Dead house. Like you take one step in, and I'm just like, no, I'm not staying here. Like,
right. No, I mean,
I'm not doing it. Like, sorry, I can't. I know we had this weekend planned, and it was going to be a lot of fun, and we brought the beer and the brats, but no, I can't. Nope.
No, I mean, that's an all right point, I guess. But I was just kind of like, I feel like they could have done more, because you meet the girl once, and then she invites you over for wine and to dance ballet, and then that this place is shitty and that it doesn't bring them back the way you want them to, and how it's cursed and all this shit, and how they won't be able to resist it. But then, like, just out of nowhere, you were just like, all right, let's go do it. And I don't know, that was a big...
I kept thinking, yeah, I'm with you there, because I kept thinking that Lithgow's character was going to turn heel.
Right.
Shout out WrestleMania, all you WrestleMania fans.
Don't bring that up.
Spent like 8 hours trying to get through it all this week, but
Jesus.
Anyways, wouldn't it have been just like cooler if like we end up in his basement towards the end, and he's got his like dead wife chained to the ceiling, and his shitty dog is there barking up a storm or something like that, and it's just like, oh, he's been looking for people to bury. Like, this guy is crazy.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I thought it was going, and it would have been better. And you could even set that up, like, when they first move in at night, if you kind of hear faint barking. Yeah, and then when they meet him, they're like, we heard a dog. Do you have a dog? And he's like, no, I don't have a dog. You know,
it at least makes sense then that he wants to bring them out to the cemetery and start burying some shit.
And because it infected him. The power of that place and the evil of it infected him, and he has to do it. Yeah, that'd be way better, I think. I mean, but
speaking of which, so you mentioned the Goosebumps ending, which was really kind of irking because, again, in the original, they don't really go into this much, but there's this looming evil, this power. They even show it in, like, the book, the weird-looking, like, deer man kind of thing. Yeah. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's, like, that's like the final boss. Let's get to that, you know? Like,
and they showed him in the background that one time, and that was it.
That was, there's no nothing, man. No. Like, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, this could go a couple different ways. We have whoever it is, Gage, the little girl. I assumed the little girl was going to go because they really were playing into how cute and adorable she was. I'm like, okay, this is...
Pretty sure that was a little boy.
So I saw the little switcheroo they were going to pull there. Just with her actually being able to act, too, and probably not having to use, like, a doll like they did in the in the first one.
Yeah.
But... yeah, I assumed it was just going to all come to an end with her, going full witch and confronting the crazy thing at the end and being, what dost thou want?
Right. And
she... metal.
I did not like... What did you think about her when she... Yeah. What did you think about her after she came back? Like, because I didn't really like it. Like, right away, I was like, okay. But then the more time, I was like, okay, I kind of wish she would talk less. Like, if she was some kind of undead, thing, I was like, why are you saying funny quips and scheming? And it's like, none of that made any sense. I was like, it was kind of creepy. And I liked when she was like, wait, am I dead? And he was like, no, blah, blah, like, and then she just immediately, I don't know, it just didn't, it was okay, but I just was like, maybe less talking and more just creepiness, because I'm like, what, now you just want to kill them and bring them? I just didn't, again, motivation's unclear.
Motivation's unclear. Well, I mean, we did establish at the end that not my daughter, not Penny's boat. This is something different, man. Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
It was such a cool that. Like such a man. The trailer was so cool.
It was.
Like what happened to the kids? The fucking kids in the mask. There was way cooler stuff that they could have just ran with.
And what if like those kids worked for John Lithgow after he turned heel? Like they were his minions, and they worshipped him. And he put on like some kind of mask that made him look like Deer Man, and he was Deer Man. disappointing.
It is truly strange. I wonder. Okay, so here I have a little pet theory. Just because I was just kind of baffled at some of the decisions and why they chose to leave the things in that they did, because it is like abhorrently faithful to the original, which is stupid.
Yeah.
On its own, there's clearly things that just don't work in it as a film, and I wonder if. Do you think Stephen King has, like, say in some of this stuff, or, like, pull as far as, like, this is what you can do with the screenplay? And
I mean, I think
at some point, I mean, they have creative control, but it's like there's things that have to be part of the story for you to do it, and you can do it however you want, but there's this, and this, and these are the characters, and this is what you have to work with, that thing.
Well, I'm sure
it just doesn't make sense. Like, why? Like, I don't understand, like, why you can't.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in whatever contracts he has, but I mean, Stephen King holds the record for most OP turned into movies, or whatever, however you want to say it. And so he's got to have that somewhere in his contract. But I don't know because I felt like he probably had more creative control in the, like you said, the late 80s, 90s, when they were first, I mean, they were coming out before that, but that was kind of the heyday, and I feel like he kind of single-handedly brought a lot of those down. So I feel this
probably goes back, like, all the way back to, like, The Shining, because he's notoriously hates The Shining.
Yeah, and so I think
he thinks it's just like a piece of shit.
Right.
And I'm just like, go fuck yourself,
man. Yeah, you
man.
clearly don't know what a good movie is. I mean, we saw the movies you did when you had creative control after that. They were fucking the worst things I've ever seen.
I love when I've read a couple articles where he just goes to bat. He's just like, that movie sucks, and my book is so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the thing that, like, a lot of people, I don't know, I won't say a lot of people, but I think that you just need to understand that they're different mediums. Like, books and movies are obviously different mediums, so they have to be handled differently. Where in a book you can use, you have to use, like Stephen King is so good at describing things, very descriptive, and he can paint these pictures, and then your mind fills in the blanks. Whereas with film, obviously it's way more powerful tool to use visual storytelling, right? You have to show these things instead of using words.
It's also shorter.
And
we don't have fucking time.
Exactly. We don't have 4,000 pages. Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it have just been like, here's some pictures of my sister before she died, and she looks all creepy and
and maybe like.
I agree. Those were fun scenes, but like, did we have to keep going back to it where she keeps hearing the stuff in the walls? I'm like, wait, what? What about this Pet Sematary?
Right. What does this have to do with the Pet Cemetery? It has nothing to do with it.
Because it never really comes around. It never really, like, saves her. It's like, oh wait, because I had this crazy childhood, I have this nugget of knowledge, and that's going to help me survive this. And
I mean, like,
no, it's just completely. There's two independent events.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought.
I guess the overlying theme is death and fear of death and the afterlife, but it doesn't mesh in the end.
I just thought of a better way to do that. It's more subtle and could still be scary. If you were building it up like they were with her not wanting to talk about death and clearly afraid of death, and then maybe have the daughter keep asking her mom about it or why she doesn't want to talk about it, and then she references maybe something that happened, but she doesn't give any specifics, like, well, I had a sister and well, I don't want to talk about it, something like that. And then hold on, let me finish the scene before I forget it, before it's gone forever. And then, like, let's say they're moving, right? They're moving into this house. They have a bunch of boxes, and maybe she opens a box that has, like we saw, like, old pictures in it of her of her sister, and then her daughter comes in and she kind of like tries to hide it, walks out. The daughter comes in later, and we see her slowly open the book, and then it flashes these horrible, disfigured pictures, and it just really, you can see it scarring her and really, disturbing stuff. And then the mom comes in, and then there it's like, well, and then you don't have to, and that's it. And then you don't have to keep referencing it, and it's scary. It pops out at you, and it's clearly horrifying for the girl. Maybe she has nightmares about it after that, whatever. But you don't have to keep. There's no reason for it to keep physically manifesting itself to the mom in the context of.
Right, because she's literally like she's
a bystander.
Own horror film. She's like She's like living Paranormal Activity while being next to a pet cemetery.
Yeah.
Like, there's two completely different things going on here.
Exactly.
And I don't know why we couldn't like connect those. It's like, why couldn't it just be like 50 minutes in when they're having their conversation and Jason Clarke asks about her sister, which is hilarious. Like that he seemingly didn't know about this. Like it's like, wait, we have 2 kids together. We're married. Like your sister had what? Like what happened? Oh my god!
Wait, what's James Wan disease?
She fell down the elevator. Like,
what? No.
Yeah. Or how about this? Instead of having James Wan disease, like how about we like connect the 2 things that are going on and be like, yeah, my sister, she was very sick, and one night I was supposed to be watching her, and she went out in the yard and she buried herself alive. And like, right? Isn't that like more like fucking topical to like the film that we're watching?
It is,
and then you'd be like, holy fucking
you'd be
shit.
like, wait, what the fuck?
Wait, and we're like, where? What?
Yeah.
And then, maybe she like pops out of the ground at some point. Like, who
right.
knows? Like, I'm riffing right now, and I'm starting to get pissed at like how
easy this
good
is.
our idea is. Like,
oh man, we're so pretentious.
God damn it, man! Like, shit literally just writes itself. I will say, in defense though of this film, Church was incredible.
Yeah. Sure.
That
cat deserves an Oscar.
From the straight hair to the Persian, fluffy. I think that's the fluffy tail was incredible. Like, loved it.
And they clearly just like they just smeared a bunch of grease on him, and it worked. That fucking cat looked dead, and it looked like a fucking
Church
asshole.
was awesome.
And before they looked like a great cat. So yeah, great acting on his part. That was really good.
So big ups to Church. I'm excited to see what
his career has in store.
Does.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely keep an eye on him.
Right.
I mean, but I feel like,
thoughts?
I just kind of feel like there are just certain scenes in this that are just so clearly like, hey, I'm from a book. Like, just so many things, and not in a good way. Like, it's just, it just really feels like literally they read the page and then they're like, well, we're going to try and shoot it like that. But it's just, I feel like you would have to come at it from a different angle. You have to think of it as a film, not as a film from a book. You know what I mean? Like keep the story in place, and then, but think of it like a film. Don't like, I don't know. There's just so many little things that, like, when you're reading it and when you can picture that in your own head, are way scarier and way whatever. And then when you try and recreate that, then it's like it loses a lot, I feel like. And I feel like I just see these a lot in Stephen King adaptations. It's hard to describe, but just when something pops up and I'm like, this is from the book. Oh, this is just something from the book, instead of actually being invested in the film. I don't know. I'm out. No,
yeah.
I already forgot about this movie.
Yeah, and just piggybacking on that, with books and what goes along with books, words. I probably spent the first 17 years of my life spelling cemetery wrong. I spelled it with an S until I'm not even kidding. Like for the longest time.
Because of this.
I was probably like in college, like in comp 2 before I started like.
That's
Wait,
hilarious.
look, so weird. A C? Like, oh, okay.
That's great.
Huh. Interesting. All right. So that's that. I will shout out. I've actually seen Pet Sematary 2.
Whoa.
Have you? Yeah.
No.
It's way more rock and roll.
I bet.
It's fucking cool as hell. Edward Furlong is in it. He's like
What?
the kid from
T2
movies. Yep.
and American History X.
Yep. And he's almost worth the watch just because he's got that just early 90s look.
Wow.
It's so cool. It's really like I swear to God, fashion just comes back around. He's got jean jackets and
What the fuck?
and trucker hats on.
You've been saying that.
Like,
you've been saying that for 10 years. You've been saying, just wait, this fashion's gonna come
denim
back.
on denim, man.
Yeah.
Denim on denim.
Well, I mean, like if we're looking,
Simpson look.
if we're looking at, I think modern Stephen King adaptations, like in the last few years, I think it was really good. That's about as good as they come, as far as what I've seen. Because it was that one. I mean, I don't know. That one just like that one. I was like, this one gets it. You know, like there were still the scenes in it that I was like, okay, this is clearly from the book, but I mean, they really developed the characters, and it felt like a movie, and the things that happened in there, how they were able to film some of that stuff was fucking creepy. And some of it felt like it came from my subconscious, which is awesome. But I just kind of look at, I don't know. I mean, it was good. Did you see Gerald's Game on Netflix?
I didn't. No.
So
I did not.
I did, and it was good. I liked it. And what I've heard is that it's very faithful to the novel, pretty much like word for word, scene for scene, I guess, straight from there. But it was pretty good. I don't know. I feel, and the fucking Dark Tower, I really don't want to get into that, but I'll
preface.
We can go.
Tower for you,
I guess I've literally. I don't think I've ever
talked
about it. I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, we could talk about it, but
okay. Okay, yeah. Let's just do the dark. So yeah, let's just jump into some kind of Stephen King. I don't want to talk about like Shawshank or anything like that.
Well, yeah, no.
For as great as L Squared is, right. I feel like there's some topics where we can't really add anything.
Exactly.
To the lexicon, like
I don't
things
even
that
want
haven't
to.
been said.
Exactly.
So...
It's so boring. Yeah, I don't. Literally have nothing to add. We have nothing to add.
Just watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. If you want to be like, oh, I wonder what a good movie looks like, we got one for you.
Shawshank.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So like, but there are some kind of fun in between movies that I like that are King adaptations.
Okay.
Let's see. We're gonna do Dark.
Is the Dark Tower one of them?
Okay. So, the Dark Tower. I've read 4 books, but it's been since like high school. Since I got like way into them, I think maybe like my sophomore year or something like that, and thought I was just gonna plow through all of them. Turns out there are a lot of Dark Tower books. Mm-hmm. I think there's 8 like core ones that you need to read, and it gets really confusing. Like if you really want to, I think Stephen King wrote a novel on how to read the Dark Tower novels. Like I'm not even, maybe I'm making that part up, but like honest to God, there's like the Wizard and the Glass, what you need to read before. And there's like a 5th book that you need to read between 4 and 5 that is after 8. And it's like, it gets really, really confusing. And I think that the movie kind of spoils 1 through 8 with like the reveal at the end that he's been running the Dark Tower a bunch of times kind of thing. Which I didn't know about, which I'm a little mad, but not really, because I don't care about spoilers that much, and the books have been out for 25 plus years. So my bad, I guess, but my bad thinking they were going to throw all, bits and pieces from all 16-ish collective novels into an hour and 30 minutes. The casting was fine. Idris Elba is good as Gunslinger. I'm really getting sick of Idris Elba having to play he keeps getting these weird it's like Alita, Battle Angel. He's this crazy, unbeatable cyborg, and he looks like he's like a fucking cyborg in Hobbs and Shaw too. Like, don't ask me how, but he's like, oh, I'm a metal machine. I'm Terminator. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Why does he keep getting these? It's like him and Jeremy Renner have like the same shitty agent. I don't understand it, but. I don't know, what did you think of Dark Tower?
I kind of hated it. I wanted
to say Dark Song, but
no, that's a lot. That's a whole different one. Dark Song is great. Dark Tower is kind of not great. I really didn't like it. And the thing is like walking out of it, I was like, okay. And I went to see it with my old roommate, John Nelson, shout out. And he had read all the Dark Tower novels, most of them at least. And he's a big fan, so like when he wanted to see it just to see it, and we saw it, and my initial takeaway was like, I don't know much about these books. I obviously haven't read them, but I was like, this movie feels like it just skipped around and left out a lot of stuff. And he was like, "Oh, you have no idea." And
it's crazy. And you think about like the fact that like J.J. Abrams approached his project, started writing with Damon Lindelof, which, oh my god, like that's like a dream pairing.
Right?
Anything Lindelof does, I'm like so in on. And they got halfway through and they're like, I don't think we can do this.
Yeah, they're like, you know what, we can't. And they were right.
J.J. Abrams started counting the movies. Like, I don't know, I'm at like 11 movies.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Jesus.
Okay, sorry.
Wow,
sorry.
Damn. Are you okay over there?
I've fixed the audio on that, but...
Yeah, we'll edit that out, don't worry.
Yeah, my brain started spinning, like, thinking of just the knowledge I have. It literally, this movie, it like plays like a Metal Gear Solid game. Like it's like these wild action set pieces for like an hour, and you're sitting there playing, and you're playing like cool, and then it just like cuts to like some dialogue and people telling you how the all world works. And it's like, oh, okay, like,
right. And
wait, why does McConaughey wanna, like, is he like the Joker? Like, he just wants to blow it up?
Yeah.
All right, like.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but I hated the main kid, couldn't stand him. Literally the whole time I was like, wow, I
used some young Edward Furlong there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole time.
Good angsty 90s child would have done us some good there.
Yep, but it just I don't know. I felt like Matthew McConaughey was the right guy to play the Man in Black, even though I don't know anything about it. He just felt like that character. I thought he did a good job, but
I think he's supposed to be the Crimson King, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
again.
Fuck knows.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Apparently, they're making a series, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I guess.
I guess so. I mean, how many of those do you do?
Yeah, that's like it's an arms race, right? It's who can make a universe, and then can we make it exciting enough to pump out 6 films? I mean, fuck they.
Yeah. You know,
they gave us how many Divergent movies?
Oh yeah, yeah, right. You know, Chris Stuckman, my favorite YouTube reviewer.
Shout out, friend of the pod.
Shout out, big friend, Chris Stuckman. Thanks for listening. He did a review of In the Mouth of Madness, which was a small Stephen King adaptation with Sam Neill. Back in the 90s. But he was like, didn't get much didn't really get talked about that much. Wasn't really looked into. People didn't really care. But he was like, both guys that were on there said, it's actually pretty good. Like, they were like, we really like it. And I haven't seen it yet, but just because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm in. That's one that's on my list. I would really like to see that. Just some author who goes crazy in a town or something. I don't know. I don't really know what it's about, but...
Oh, yeah, you're thinking of The Secret Window. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Giant
yeah.
Giant.
No, yeah. Yep. No, that's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another banger.
Yeah.
I think that's Johnny Depp's last great film. And I'm...
Undeniably great, yep.
Undeniably great.
Yep.
I love that. That movie's really good.
You know what?
That movie actually holds
you know
up.
what?
John Turturro's in that.
I don't... I hate to tell you this, but I don't disagree with you. I actually like that movie.
Secret Window's good.
It's fun, yeah. I like that one. I actually like it. It's interesting. Yeah.
It's in there.
Wow, I did not know that we were gonna do that.
Yeah, for sure. That's let's table that one.
Yeah.
That's gonna be our...
So you know what was one on Netflix that actually I didn't mind was 1922 with Thomas Jane. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
It was okay. I actually didn't mind it. It was just like kind of your basic. I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Right. Are we to the rapid fire point?
That's kind of what I've been doing. I don't know. I can't think of any.
Cujo.
Boom. Children of the Corn.
no Cujo thoughts?
Oh, I thought we were just going back and forth. I haven't seen Cujo. Literally, I've never seen it. No.
Giant Great Bernard gets bit by a bat, goes crazy.
Oh, he's a vampire dog.
Most of the movie, not even most of the movie. Most of the movie is really shitty, and then the last half of the movie is in a car that gets really hot because they can't roll down the windows because obviously Cujo, giant Great Bernard, he can't even crack the windows.
Saint Bernard. Yeah.
And again, this works because it's 1983. This car definitely doesn't have AC. Yeah, they're literally like they after like 8 hours in this car, they look like Jesus after he's been traveling the desert for 30 days.
Sweet.
That movie's not very good. I'm sure we'll see that in the future here. Here's a good one. Running Man.
No.
Yes.
Not a good one.
What?
Not a good one. That's not a good one.
Okay, all right. All the goodwill you built up with liking Secret Window, man.
It's gone.
What? You don't like Running Man?
I haven't seen it for a long time. I'll say that.
Running Man is incredible.
Okay.
We're like living in Running Man right now.
I'm sure we are.
Like, there's a Running Man pilot that's gonna get picked up by Hulu, and it's gonna be like chainsaws and people are gonna die in real life.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna watch every episode.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see. You know what was a smaller one that I actually really, really like is Dolores Claiborne.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that.
It's actually pretty good. It's a quieter movie. Definitely smaller.
Is that Kathy Bates?
Yep, it is Kathy Bates.
Okay.
So obviously everyone.
Is that post-Misery?
Yes.
Or pre-Misery?
I believe it's post-Misery.
Okay.
So that's kind of why it gets buried, because people don't think about it. They think Kathy Bates, Stephen King. Obviously, they go to Misery. But Dolores Claiborne is good. I like it a lot, actually.
All right.
So there you go. I think it's also young Jennifer Jason Leigh as well.
Ooh.
And
is she playing is she a little trashy?
No, actually. Surprisingly.
She's well kept?
She is well kept, believe it or not.
Wow, she hadn't discovered that card yet.
Christopher Plummer, I believe. And actually a young John C. Reilly as like a deputy. Oh,
there you go.
David Strathairn. David Strathairn is in it.
The Great.
I love him.
Did you see Firestarter?
No.
Wow, we're bouncing off every Stephen King movie. This is
Such
truly
a good
this is the
episode.
If you guys didn't believe that we do almost zero prep for these, now is when you really. Firestarter again. I feel like I'm the king of these. Like, they're not very good.
Yeah.
But I've seen them. The last 30 minutes of Firestarter are pretty okay, but there's a lot of... That's where I feel like all of these movies from, like, 1982 to, like, 1992, you can just plug in people who know how to act, and it just, like, it might actually be something. When Drew Barrymore starts going, like, full Carrie on everyone, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess, I mentioned Carrie.
Yeah, obviously everyone likes Carrie, you know. Whatever.
Yeah, De Palma.
Yeah.
A genius.
Misery, everybody loves Misery. Have you seen...
Outlander!
Oh. How long has it been since you've seen Children of the Corn?
Oof. Children of the Corn scarred me when I was little.
Yeah, I got in there. Malachi!
Those are the creepiest fucking kids.
That casting director deserves an Oscar for that. They found the creepiest motherfucking kids.
I would love... Oh my gosh. There has to be some sort of, like... You know how they did the documentary of, like, what happened to Reagan and, like, how, like, shitty her life has been? Like, I want to see that for, like, all of these kids.
Yeah.
Like, did any, like Isaac and Malachi, like, what did these guys do? Like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Maybe they're good. I don't know.
I don't know.
Not.
Malachi, the actor's name is Courtney Gaines. Is that dude?
Okay. Didn't know that. Yeah. John Franklin.
Done a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he's okay.
Hopefully they're out there. Hopefully they're out there just doing their thing, man.
If they're listening, we'd love to have you on. You know, we'd love to, we could do that documentary style, but just in a podcast. And we just kind of ask them questions about how their life turned out, how shitty it's been.
Yes.
Just follow it on here.
Yeah.
So.
I will say, like I said, like pretty much all these movies suck. I think Children of the Corn is like...
It's a guilty pleasure.
Rocks.
Yeah, it's spooky. It gets to me.
Essentially, every one of these Stephen King films they'd be a great, like, 8-minute YouTube movie because there's always just some banger of a opening, and then it's just exposition and boring shit for 55 minutes, and then it kind of kicks up at the end. Yeah. Because, like, Children of the Corn, same thing. All the kids in the town kill all the adults. And we're like, whoa, we're in it.
Yeah.
Like, here we go. And, and then, you know. I don't know. What other ones do you have? Those are kind of the ones that kind of jumped out to me as maybe notable.
1408 is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's terrible. I don't mind it.
Lawnmower Man?
Maybe the best, yeah. Christine's fun. That's kind of a fun one. It's dumb, like, but Salem's Lot I haven't seen, but I've always wanted to, especially since it's directed by Tobe Hooper. But
I haven't seen it.
Stand By Me, obviously, classic. That's a great one.
Yep. Do you have any other ones? I'm pretty much out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Boy, Nope. I don't think I have any more. If I have, they're not.
Yeah.
If they haven't popped into my head, then they're not memorable enough.
Well.
So.
There it is.
There it is.
So one other thing that I was kind of like a little worried about as I was kind of walking out of the theater, are we gonna get our horror film this year? Like our banger of a horror film?
Well, does the Summer, does that come out this summer? Midsummer?
Maybe. And I mean, that's kind of like the one hope, right?
Yes.
Because it gets a little bleak after that.
Oh, dude. I already found it.
It too?
No. Maybe. The Curse of La Llorona. When she does the rinse. She does rinsing. God, that's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be light. I think maybe we've been spoiled.
Yeah.
The last couple of years.
Yeah. You know, I think you're right.
And who knows? Maybe there's something that pops out of nowhere. We get a dark song or something like that.
I feel like that's definitely a possibility. I'm obviously very excited for Midsummer, but I don't want to put too high of hopes on it. You know, I don't want to overhype it for myself. I'm just like, okay, another culty, creepy movie from Ari Aster and A24. I'm in, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe just kind of the beats of watching so many A24 horror films have kind of heightened our expectations a little bit too much. Where you see something like Pet Sematary and you're like, oh man, this looks awesome. This looks spooky. It looks like there's a lot to flesh out here, and then it just kind of falls flat. But overall, I won't say that like Pet Sematary is bad. I think it's worth a watch. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you less so?
Well, I mean, would you put this on the level of, let's say, like Leprechaun 8? Or is Pet Sematary better than Leprechaun 8? That's a good question.
Leprechaun, I mean, if we're talking Leprechaun, I'm definitely Leprechaun 4.
Shut the fuck up. That's not what I asked you.
If you want to, like, compare it to the second best Leprechaun movie, fine. Yeah, Leprechaun 8, but, you know.
Oh, fuck. Why did we do that to ourselves? I don't know. Yeah, no, I think...
Is this a bit now?
This is a bit. Yep, we got to compare everything to the Leprechaun movies. You know, it's fine. It's okay. It's got creepy moments, and it's a well-made movie. Like, the production on it's pretty good. The acting's pretty good. But it kind of leaves you going, okay.
Right.
And yeah, in this day and age, with, like you said, with us having higher expectations of horror, just okay isn't really going to cut it. You know, maybe in years past it would have, but
too much fog machine.
Yeah, maybe cut it back a little bit.
Can we do fog machines?
Can I just give a shout out quick?
I feel like let me just say this one last thing.
Go for it.
I'm just gonna, because I gotta
strike. You gotta strike while the iron's hot. I get it.
And you know, who knows? Maybe I'm an idiot.
Well,
I feel like fog machines, the technology has not really advanced much since, like, I don't know, say Nosferatu in like the 1920s.
Yeah.
And maybe just maybe, we either don't need to use them anymore, or we can use them incredibly sparingly. Like, I'm saying, like, last 10 minutes of any horror film.
Well,
because it kind of takes me out of it. And
I have two thoughts.
I wasn't a fan here. So
one, the shout out I was going to give was I was going to say that a great use of a fog machine and a great set it was in The Wolfman from 1941. I love that movie. I watch it a lot.
Again, 1941.
1941.
Proper time for fog machines.
Exactly. Worked great. It was great for that movie. But I will say, also, for a more modern use that I really enjoyed, The Guest. the ending of The Guest. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
So the end when they're setting up the gym for the Halloween dance or whatever, like they have a smoke machine, fog machine, because it's a cheesy high school dance. No. It makes sense.
That actually wasn't. Those kids were just vaping.
Oh.
You didn't. There was a vape.
It was Vape Nation.
Those are high schoolers.
Hashtag Vape Nation.
Come on.
You're right. I must have missed that.
You're really aging yourself right now.
What is?
Even I noticed that.
Wait a minute. You're telling me those kids were on vaporizers?
Those were vape clouds.
Wow.
Those kids were chasing clouds, storm chasers, all of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice try though. Not a fog machine. I know my fog.
I know my fog. Yeah, it smelled like
clearly
fog
not
machine.
fog. That was some pineapple eucalyptus vape going on there.
Well, we're just gonna call it there. Like we said, sometimes dead's better. So check me out on Twitter at LukeLarson89. This podcast at the L Squared Podcast on Twitter at L2 Podcast on Facebook. Check us out on SoundCloud or on YouTube, and stick around for more hot takes. We're serving them up fresh.
I think next week we're coming back with a little beach. Because
I specifically asked not to bring that up.
I gotta go low to get high. You know me.
I don't understand. I don't understand
baby.
how you can quote that already. Like, I just don't get it.
I don't understand how you can't quote it.
I don't remember much.
This is gonna be the Big Lebowski of this next generation.
Wow,
right here. It's gonna be turned into a beach bum religion.
That's a really unfair comparison to make.
And you're too much of a square. You think fog machines are you're confusing fog with vape clouds.
I'm so
old.
And
you're so disconnected.
Yeah.
From the lexicon, from what the kids are into. That's all I got.